NFC strengths and weaknesses coming into the postseason. Let's start with the 7 seed, the Green Bay Packers. What's their biggest weakness? Defense is trash. I'm just going to be straight up with you. I'm not going to BS around. Defense is trash for the Green Bay Packers. If you look at their defensive statistics this year, they are nothing short of atrocious in every way, shape, and form, no matter how you look at it. If I can pull these up here, because they are horrendous. Doggone it. Okay, we've got them. Okay. Green Bay Packers, 28th in the NFL in opponent touchdown to interception ratio, 25th in opponent passer rating, 25th in opponent third down percentage, 28th in opponent rush yards per game, and 25th in opponent 20-plus yard plays. So they can't stop the run, can't stop the pass. They give up big plays. They give up a lot of points. They're not very good. And what's crazy is I kind of like some of the personnel. Jair Alexander, back from the suspension last week. He's had kind of a down season. But he's still a very capable number one corner. I like some of the guys they got in the secondary. Their pass rush, Rashawn Gary. I like some of the guys they got over there. But just in general, man, it is Joe Barry's probably going to lose his job, the defensive coordinator, at the end of the year. Joe Barry to the Packers is what Matt Canada was to my Steelers. Just an albatross around the neck of that side of the football. Listen, I like the Packers offense. I think Jordan Love's playing great. The receivers, this is a bad defense, and it will cost them sooner rather than later. That is why the Packers will not win the Super Bowl. 2, the Los Angeles Rams, a team who won the Super Bowl a couple years back. What's their biggest weakness? Special teams is a liability. They've went through multiple kickers. They had a game against the New York Giants in which special teams almost cost them in a game that they outplay the Giants. They're up 7. They punt the football away. Gunnar Olszewski, former Pittsburgh Steelers, caused me a lot of headaches as a Steeler, but he returns the kick all the way to the house, like 90-plus yards, but the Giants don't convert in a 2-point conversion. Giants get the ball back, and a missed field goal preserves the win for the G-Men. So this is, this preserves the win for the Rams, rather. So special teams actually hurt the Giants in that game, but special teams for LA is a problem. They went through Brett Maher, who I believe is their kicker right now, who's kind of inconsistent up and down. Cowboys fans can tell you a lot about that in his rough postseason run a year ago. Punting has struggled. I've just been dealing with a lot of injuries in the special teams. They're not good that good situationally, special teams wise. They could sure use Bones Fossil, who's with the Rams for a long time now, is with the Dallas Cowboys. He's a great special teams guy, but that's been an issue with the Los Angeles Rams. I love Matt Stafford, and I love what they've been doing offensively. Defensively, they got some good young players to go along with one of the GOATs, Aaron Donald. That said, that is why the Rams will not win this year's Super Bowl. To the team that came so close a year ago of winning the Super Bowl, but alas, they fell short. The Philadelphia Eagles, their biggest weakness is the defense is atrocious, and the head coach is a poor leader. I already talked about the head coach earlier, Nick Sirianni. This is the second time in his career in Philadelphia that he has faced real legit adversity. Year 1 in 2021, they were 3-6, weren't very good. His response, rightfully so, by the way, was to give the play calling duties to Shane Steichen. Translation, the less I'm involved, the better we are. And we're seeing that right now with the Philadelphia Eagles. Shane Steichen gone, Jonathan Gannon gone. Bad coordinators that try and make a change at defensive coordinator midseason. The locker room seems to not really believe in their coach. It's a mess. In terms of Philadelphia's defense, again, we talk about atrocious, we talk about unwatchable. It is absolutely horrendous. They're bottom 10 in virtually every category in regards to points per game allowed. In terms of pass yards per game allowed, this is a Philadelphia defense that can get torched, that can get exposed on a week-to-week basis. I believe we have stats to go along with this. It does not look like they are available at this particular juncture in time. But again, Philadelphia struggling in all the major categories in terms of points per game. They're not very good. They do a solid job against the run, but even in recent weeks, Arizona ran for 200 on them. So that's a concern with Philadelphia. They got a beat-up quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Not much right is going for the Philadelphia Eagles. Most of it stems from the head coach. That is why the Philadelphia Eagles will not win the Super Bowl. 2, a team that won 3 years ago, albeit with the greatest who ever did it, Tom Brady. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, their biggest weakness is they can't win shootouts. They just can't. Only 3 times this season has Tampa Bay scored 30 points this season. Baker Mayfield, hats off to him. He's absolutely been a resurgent season. He might be in the running potentially. We'll see what they do with DeMar Hamlin. But Baker Mayfield very well could be comeback player of the year because he looked almost kind of left for dead in Tampa. He's Brady's replacement. They're going to fire Bowles at the end of the season. And Baker leads him to the division title. So Bowles going to keep his job. Baker's going to get extension. It's all happy times for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But if it comes down to a situation where they're having to go back and forth, even with a Philly, a Dallas, a Detroit, a San Francisco, and you got to go tit for tat with them up and down the field, that's just not Tampa Bay's forte. Like their weapons, love Mike Evans, but they can't really run the football that well. Baker does have limitations, and right now he has some physical limitations with the rib issues. Listen, it's a cool story. Hats off to Tampa Bay. They're more than deserving of winning the NFC South. But that is why the Buccaneers will not win the Super Bowl. The offense is just not good enough. To the Detroit Lions, a team that I predicted before the season to get to the NFC title game. Tampa Bay can't win shootouts. That's their weakness. The Lions' weakness is they can't win unless it's a shootout. So it's a little bit of a turnaround there for the Detroit Lions. According to this, the Lions, 4 of their 5 losses are when they have not scored 30 points this season. So this is a team that's got to kind of go up and down the field on you. Jared Goff's had a great year. Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, at least before the injury, Jamison Williams, David Montgomery, great O-line. Like, Detroit has everything you could possibly want on the offensive side of the ball. Not a lot of big names, although I believe St. Brown and Laporta will be big names soon to come, but it's a defense that has struggled mightily. They've given up some offensive explosions by some teams in the past, in particular the Baltimore Ravens all the way back in October. This is a defense that can get to the quarterback on occasion. Aiden Hutchinson, one of the better guys in terms of pressures, but offensively they just can't keep up. They can keep up with the best, but if you're being asked to score every single time down the field, even for an offense as loaded as Detroit is and as well coached as it is with Ben Johnson, future head coach, as the OC, that's just simply too tall of a task to ask. But the Lions cannot win. If it's a game where the other team is playing well and Detroit's not able to catch up, that's going to cost them the end. So that is the reason why the Lions will not win the Super Bowl. To the Dallas Cowboys, my pick to get to the Super Bowl. Their weakness is the offense is one true perimeter threat. That is obviously CeeDee Lamb. So the offense for the Cowboys all year has run through number 4, Dak Prescott, and has run through number 88, CeeDee Lamb. Now, that's not always a bad thing. CeeDee is the second best receiver in the sport right now. Dak's the 4th best quarterback in general in the sport right now. I only have him behind Mahomes, Burrow, and Lamar Jackson. That's not just this season. That is in totality, ladies and gentlemen. But if you look at the Dallas Cowboys receiving core, beyond CeeDee Lamb, it's a lot of Jalen Tolberts. It's a lot of Jake Ferguson's, Michael Gallup, who's not the same player he used to be, Tony Pollard, who's had barely over 1,000 yards in a full 17-game season. And their number 2 receiver, you say, what about Brandon Cooks? The Brandon Cooks, who is 59th in receiving yards, 68th in catches, 116th in terms of average yards per catch. That's gonna hurt the Cowboys potentially in the postseason. If other teams, other defenses like San Francisco, like Detroit, like others decide to double the Rams, even decide to double CeeDee Lamb, or God forbid, knock on wood, CeeDee Lamb goes down, gets hurt, then who's Dak going to go to? Now, Dak's done a good job of elevating those guys, but having CeeDee Lamb has certainly not hurt that case in any way, shape, or form. This Cowboys defense is capable of being the best in the field any given Sunday. Dak's capable of being the best quarterback in the field. CeeDee Lamb is capable of being the best receiver on the field. It's the other guys in Dallas. And by the way, great offensive line this year when healthy. It's the other guys on offense. Pollard, Cooks, Tolbert, Gallup, Ferguson. I have questions about that. Is why the Dallas Cowboys will not win the Super Bowl. Finishing off with the 1 seed 49ers, who don't have to worry about any weaknesses this week. They can rest up, get ready for the divisional round, but the 49ers' biggest weakness is they don't play well from behind. They simply don't. Brock Purdy, in games in which he trails, in the games that he's played this season, games which Brock Purdy trails in the fourth quarter, he has 1 touchdown, 3 picks, has a completion percentage of 56%, and has a passer rating of 61. Brock Purdy is a guy that I do believe is one of the 12 or 13 best quarterbacks in the league, has had a phenomenal season, and is more than deserving of getting to the Pro Bowl this year. I've been a guy sturdy Purdy since day one, but he's not in that class of quarterbacks under adverse circumstances. Maybe a guy's down, guy got hurt at some point this year, that he can kind of carry you, put you on your put you on his back and take you to a win. That's just not his MO. And by the way, Kyle Shanahan's a guy who I believe the stat is 1-38 when at any point trailing by 8 or more. 0-38 when at one point trailing by 8 or more going into, or at any point in the fourth quarter. That's a telling stat. I believe that's what the stat is. 0-38. The 49ers struggle mightily in that regard. The roster's phenomenal. Love just about everything about it, including the quarterback. But simply put, they are not a team that is capable of playing from behind. That points to the coach and his history, and the quarterback and his history and statistical output. That is why the 49ers will not win this year's Super Bowl. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.